if you are afraid of your partner leaving because something else is out there, if you're scared that some other guy's gonna take your girl, for example, instead you should just be the best version of yourself, so ain't nobody gonna compete with you. The idea of body count purity is like incredibly like naive.
Welcome to the Digital Social Hour. I'm your host, Sean Kelly. I'm here with my co-host, Wayne Lewis.
What up, what up?
And our guest today, Chetan.
Hey,
How's it going?
Chetan, my guy. How you
good.
What's your job title? What do you describe yourself as?
I describe myself as a lover and friend. That's what my business card says, but I am technically a surrogate partner therapist.
And what exactly is that?
So surrogate partner therapist works within the triadic model, which was basically Masters and Johnson pioneered therapy as we know it. And they created the triadic model. And the triadic model basically is a surrogate partner who works from the neck down using their hands to create experiential opportunities for people to grow past blockages with sexual dysfunctions or intimacy blockages. And they work in conjunction with the sex therapist who works on, the mental part of it. And in that process, you give people, hands-on opportunities to move past those issues, because you could talk about it all you want, but until you're in the sheets, like, you might not be able to change anything about your actual experience.
Right.
And at the same time, in doing that, you end up generating a lot of useful information for the therapy. So it works sort of in conjunction. So it's called triadic because you got the client too, who's an active participant in the whole process.
And what type of clientele typically come to you? Is it girls? Is it guys? What type of people?
For me, I work, because I'm tragically straight, I work with AFAB and trans women, but I work with women. Most surrogates are female or AFAB people. And
What does AFAB mean?
Assigned female at birth.
Oh.
So most surrogates, like 80%, are, and there's not a lot of us to begin with. There's like 100 of us maybe in the country. So
Yeah, that's low.
Wow.
yeah, like there's like probably 20 guys like me out there.
Yeah, so you guys you get a lot of clients.
Well, it's interesting. So we surrogate partner therapy its heyday was in the 80s, and then HIV came around, and everybody shut down. And with massage therapy being more recognized, because how a massage parlor used to be, like a rub, like you heard massage parlor and you thought, and so instead, as massage therapy became more recognized, surrogate partner therapy actually was able to make a big resurgence after a movie called The Surrogate came out in 2012. And now is like the prime moment for us, because...
So is that what that movie was about?
I didn't watch it. I don't know.
Yeah, The Surrogate.
About the guy with the iron lung.
Yeah.
And he needed he went to this person who taught him how to have sex, and then he had...
I didn't know what that movie was about.
That's exactly what
that's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
So that actually really helped bring it about into the social conscious again. And now we're at just the perfect moment, because sex work is more accepted than ever and is like a big relevant conversation. Mental health is a big conversation. Sexual assault, sexual trauma, big conversation. And all those, where do those circles intersect? It intersects on 100 of us that are growing in numbers.
Wow.
But we're out here just trying to help people love their bodies more and live happier existences.
That's so solid.
And how is surrogate partner therapy different from just prostitution? Because the clients are paying you, right?
Yeah. So first off, a surrogate partner works in conjunction with a therapist. So you don't like just like hire a surrogate partner and like hop in the sheets with them. Like you work with your therapist, and if they think that you are a good candidate to work with a surrogate partner, you get referred to a surrogate partner. That surrogate partner, first off, we don't want you to be a repeat client for many, many, many unlimited amount of sessions. We want to solve your problems. So we're not.
What if the is just so good though?
What?
What if it's just so good?
What if it's so good? I mean, we're helping people have the skills so that it's so good wherever they go.
It got you. Not just with you.
Not just with me.
Got you.
And so like our goal that's different than you're a normal worker is that we want you to graduate from us. We want you to be able to move on to a healthy, different place. And the majority of our work does not actually involve sex. Like it can involve intercourse, but so much of what we do starts with just literally touching like helping somebody understand how to truly feel their body, to live like a sensual life where they're really in their body. They feel all of the touch that you're giving them, and they're able to provide touch with presence. And so, we're teaching people oftentimes the skills that they need to have a happy life,
Right.
so that they can go, and if they want to from there go hire sex workers, go for it.
So there's a science to accepting touch.
Yeah, absolutely. There's science. There's exercises.
Yeah.
They usually fall under the umbrella of what we call sensate focus. But I like to say people should try to live a sensual life. And what that means to me is like when you eat something, you should taste it. Like you should really taste it. When you touch something, really feel it. Be in your body. Get all of the pleasure you can out of that. And by doing that, since not all sexual problems are psychological, for sure, and a lot of psychological problems become physical problems. For example, with a lot of women will have, or AFAB people will have a lot of their sexual trauma show up as really, really tight PC muscles, like to the point sometimes where they can't fully void their bladder, or they can't
PC
have
muscles like a vagina?
like they're like all the muscles that go across your vagina and across your anus, like that whole layer of muscles
so
at the
tight.
bottom can be like, if with a lot of trauma, will oftentimes be so tight that you can't have intercourse.
Wow.
Or it's painful.
Or it's extremely painful.
Wow.
And then guess what? Once you get that in your head, as soon as you start thinking it, you're not about to have a good time.
This is so important.
So
This is important.
So the reality is getting people out of their head and into their body lets you get past a lot of these psychological things, right? Like every guy's lost a bar. Every guy has. I don't care. Don't like whatever you guys say. You're lying.
No, I'm
Every
with
guy's
you.
lost
I
a
agree.
bar,
I've lost a lot of them.
And when you
I lost it in the mist before.
Yeah. And when you lose a
not
bar,
working.
and when you lose a bar, what's the worst thing that can happen?
What's the worst thing that can happen?
Like the next time you have sex, what's the worst
if
thing?
you lose it again. I think
if you think about losing it that second time,
it's gonna lose again.
You're done.
Yeah.
Your goose is cooked.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
So
But me, if I lose it, I'm not coming back probably because there's a reason why I lost it.
Yeah, well, and that's like that's great, and you don't like the reality of it is if you don't build it in your head as like, oh, what if it happens again? What if I lose my bar? Oh, like especially when you're younger and that's like even more embarrassing, and you're like you take that as like a masculinity thing, like.
No, for me, I blame it on them.
Getting that out of your head though is important,
right?
Because if you get that in your head once, and then you lose it again, and you lose it again,
right?
And you lose it again, you're going down a slippery slope, right? So what we do a lot of times before ever talking about real contact is helping people get in their body because we're getting them out of their head.
Gotcha.
Because a lot of problems are mental. You're saying.
Yeah, a lot of them are. Like if you have
For sure.
anxiety, if you have a lot of like fear, a lot of shame. I mean,
You can be
shame
over
is
anxious too.
Shame is just like you can't have a vagina and not walk around with body issues in this country or any part of the world really. Like you can't. You just you can't have a. I should say not vagina. You can't have a and walk around without body issues, right? And when what's really hard is having an orgasm or good sex when you think you have to suck your stomach in the whole time, right?
I mean, you're not worried about that.
Because you're not
with me.
comfortable.
Just let it
You're not
hang.
comfortable. So you got to get people out of their head
Right.
and into their body
Right.
before you even get there.
Yeah.
So a prostitute, a typical sex worker, is trying to get you off, and if like I was on the way here, I was talking to a colleague, and they were talking about a frustration about somebody who was claiming to be doing surrogate work and was having intercourse with somebody after in the first or second session when they take, and rightfully when my colleague rightfully takes their time and is like, we're going to do this exercise, and guess what, even if you think that you got it, we're going to do it again. Just like any other meditation, it's mindfulness. It's like truly being present in your body. It's
Right.
So
What do you think of this recent social media trend of people shaming girls with high body counts?
I mean, I think it's stupid.
Why?
Like,
You don't think it matters?
no, why would it matter?
Like if you want to wife up a girl, you don't think it matters?
I don't think it matters at all. I couldn't care less.
Really? So she could have 1,000?
I have no idea how many people my wife has slept with. She has no idea how many people I've slept with, and I don't even care. I don't even know how many people I've slept with.
Wow,
Like,
so you have a wife.
It's not like
Yeah, Sean. Yeah,
it's not even like
No, I'm just...
it's like, first off, the idea of purity is like incredibly like naive, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if you are afraid of your partner leaving because something else is out there, then you get two options, right? There's guys who are like, oh, I don't want you going out to the club, right? I don't want you wearing that, right? That's one way of keeping that person and subjugating them so that they end up staying with you. And
Yeah,
it's
but certain
subjugation.
shit I don't want them to wear. though.
It's subjugation.
Just certain
though.
shit,
But if you're scared that some other guy's gonna take your girl, for example,
yeah. Yeah, I ain't worried about that.
instead you should just be the best version of yourself, so ain't nobody gonna compete with you. So the idea of body count, first off, is like a hysterically like naive concept in my mind. In my mind. Now, like, look, we all come from a time and a place, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
like if I said the same thing to somebody who was born 30 years before me or someone who's born 30 years before them, they're going to have a much different version of
Right.
the world, right? And so I like certainly never like want to tell somebody that the way that they feel is completely invalid, but the reality of it is like, what's the relevance? Like,
Gotcha.
it's not like vaginas get looser because you have a lot of sex.
That's a myth.
That's like not even a concept. Like,
That's a myth? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
like-
thought that was true.
no, not in the least.
Really?
Yeah,
Not
Sean,
in the
where'd you get that
least.
information from?
Social media.
I mean,
no,
that's
that's
like
not real.
the idea of like a loose is like the most. That is like, yeah, it's
Yeah, it's not real.
So what causes some to be looser than others then?
people
mean,
have different levels of muscle tone. People,
muscle tone, but it's size of your
it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
people have
Yeah.
different levels of muscle tone. People have different levels of arousal. People, everybody is different.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why, and every sexuality is different. And that's why people like to sleep with a bunch of people, because everybody's unique.
Yeah.
And, variety is like one of the only true aphrodisiacs.
So how good at sex are you?
if I told you, every person listening to this would blush. Let me put it like that.
Okay.
Okay?
And how did you get to that level?
Yeah. How'd you get to that level?
I really like I don't know what to tell
So you're a
you.
nympho.
No,
It's
you're
that
not nympho.
I really appreciate high quality intimacy, and I take my time. And so, actually, the real answer to this question, and this is also where it connects with surrogacy, because I don't want to make this really important work that people have. My mentor has put her life into. I don't want to make a joke out of it. It is that when I'm with a lover, when I'm with a client, I'm fully present. I'm full with every touch. I'm fully there, and I will take the time to appreciate every single bit and every curve and every crevice and every wrinkle and every bit of that person. And I can almost guarantee you that they have not done that for themselves.
Wow.
And when you do that, it's not about different techniques. It's not about like, oh, this is the right technique and that's the right technique. It's not about that. What makes really, really good sex is the presence that you carry in your touch.
Wow. So just being really sensual, basically.
Yeah,
No, he's saying it's in the touch, so it's in the feeling.
yeah,
of
it's in what makes for really good sex
Energy.
is exactly it's when you it's not that you're like looking at it, you're looking at something and you're just like kind of like looking at it and passing by it. Like you're like really taking your time and you're observing it. You're seeing, oh, look how this like nicely moves like this. You know, you're appreciating every bit of that person with your eyes, with your hands. You know, you're truly there, and you know that's one part of it. And what makes somebody a good lover in my book, the other part is to take the whole idea of there being a destination or sex being a single faceted thing off the table.
And what do you mean by that? Elaborate on
Like when I was walking in here, right? Somebody said, "Oh, you know, you help people work."
Oh, that's a single thing.
Take orgasm off the table.
That's a single thing.
You could have amazing sex without an orgasm. Take orgasm off the table. Take, you know, some sort of idea of what it looks like off the table, right? Like if you've only ever watched like pornography and there's just a whole bunch of jackrabbit, you know, like pounding, like you got to take all that off the table because good sex is like a dance, right? You got your fast and your slow. You've got your hot and your cold. You've got your firm and your soft, right? And it's in the juxtaposition of each of those things that you like create, you know, something novel. And so like good sex, if you take away that destination concept and you just let it be a journey, then it can, you know, you're allowed to play then. Because if you have a single goal, then you're just running at the goal, right? You're just pound.
Right.
But when you take that off, and sex is how adults play. That is how adults play. And everything in life is easier when you're having fun doing it. Everything. One of my life's great mentors, watching him go through the process of dying, he had so much fun going through dying of cancer. I swear to God, he made it look so graceful. And it's because he had fun. He was like, oh my God, I'm meeting so many cool people. This really sucks. Everything hurts. I can't hold down food. But I am meeting so many cool people and having fun.
Right.
So everything in life is easier when you're having fun. And sex is how adults play. So if you have a destination, you're no longer playing. Playing doesn't have a destination. Playing is
Just playing
for the sake of
it's
it.
endless. Yeah.
So like good sex is multifaceted. It can have joy, it can have laughter, it could have sadness, it could have tears, you know, and they could all be part of like a really good experience.
Speaking of experience, some men are afraid of toys.
Yeah.
Do you think they should be afraid of them?
No. I mean, if you're if you want to like live like you're like rolling, if you're like building the pyramids and you want to live that way, great, but I'm going to use power tools. Okay? So you can cut down that tree with an axe or whatever it is,
Right.
but I'm going to use a chainsaw if I got it.
Yeah.
So, so there's no reason to be threatened by anything. Use things as they should be your friend. They should be, a tool to create different kinds of stimulation,
Right.
to create different kinds of feeling, to like be able to activate different parts of the body in new and unique and novel ways.
Have you ever had a client just fall in love with you because you were just so good to them?
Yes.
So transference is a real thing. Like there can be emotions that attach, but they naturally dissipate, as you like
become distant.
and we limit our number of sessions. We're thoughtful about that thing because what we don't want to do is create harm, by
emotionally getting them riled.
getting people to
Emotional damage.
But there will
because
be.
they're already damaged, so you don't want to.
Well, they're not damaged. They're just working through something.
Yeah. Well,
And there are plenty of people who have incredibly healthy relationships with their sexuality on, who then, have something happen. Or they, one of the most common things you'll see is, somebody who, leaves their marriage somewhere in their, late 40s. Their kids are, finally, old enough to, sort of understand, and they feel like they've raised their kids enough with that partner, and they're like, wait, I've been monogamous for 20 years and we haven't been having quality intimacy in that long for one or another reason, and they're out there now saying, okay, now what do I do? They're not broken, they're just exploring who they are, and who they are changes, right? Your sexuality changes at every point in time, just like you do. So they're not broken. I never want to say that. But people are working through different things.
Gotcha.
But you don't want to create harm. So we limit our sessions at a certain point, and every client has, I think, a different based on case by case basis, amount that you would assign to that, because for example, somebody who's had a pretty healthy sexuality and now has something they're working through after years of having a very, very active and healthy sex life, they're probably going to be a lot more equipped to be able to work through things for a longer term than maybe somebody who's in their late 30s and losing their virginity and is having to learn and socialize some of these basic skills. Right, these real basic skills.
So do you feel like it's important to lose your virginity or at an early age? If it was up to you, would that be, you should lose it
I think
younger?
you need to define early for me.
I would say 16, 17, 18. Teenagers.
I think it's important for you to explore what is of interest to you when it's of interest to you. Because if you don't, then what oftentimes will happen is you'll end up experiencing a compounding amount of anxiety around it, right? That can happen. You can, hey, I I'm the only one of my friends who's still a virgin and I want to have sex, but I'm scared to now because of one or another reason.
Right.
Or oh, now I'm 25, now I'm 30, every time I tell somebody this, they run away, or they're afraid of the emotional repercussions. So I think that when you want to explore something, that's the right age. I mean, within, obviously there's certain reason to that, but I think that that's the thing. You shouldn't feel shame to be who you are.
That makes sense.
You shouldn't be shamed to explore and grow in the directions that at any point in time you want to explore and grow. You should just do it.
We got to wrap this up, but where can people learn more about this and more about you?
So they can go on my Instagram, which is called Safely Feeling Sexy. Again, Safely Feeling Sexy. I also have a website that's under Safely Feeling Sexy, as well as my email is safelyfeelingsexy@gmail. One of my colleagues, Rachel, I've sent you the links, but her email is theascendedmuse@gmail. Again, the Ascended Muse.
I'll put it in the description.
And my mentor, Dr. Susan K, her email is drsusank@gmail. You can Google her. She's an original Masters and Johnson researcher. So, I mean, she's OG. Like she knows she can look at you and be like, you could do this, or you can't do this. Like her into it. You hear her do an intake with people, and it's like,
wow.
How did you figure that out? How, like, she'll ask you a question, and then she'll ask the person a question. You'll be like, how did you know to? And it'll be like something really specific, you know.
She might be a seer.
I mean,
she could be.
She's given her life to this. Yeah. And like the amount of shame that people carry around, like it's.
Can you tell off back if somebody has shame or anything?
Can I tell?
Can you tell, like, just by?
I can oftentimes look at somebody and be like, I mean, first off, if you have a country or anywhere in the world, you've probably been walking around with a fair amount of shame. But like, you can certainly tell when people are more or less comfortable with who they are. Men
and women.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
Same way, like, there's a reason why, like, you'll see people on a dance floor and you'll be like, that person's fun. I can hang out with them.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Because you can tell they're having fun. They're in their own.
Yeah. Chetan, it's been a pleasure. Wayne, any closing comments?
Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram @TheCreator. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Digital Social Hour. See you next time.
Peace.